Muiz,
What?
if you close the door,
Why do you have the camera?
you getting
Let us
blocked,
get down.
and we not together.
Come again?
If you close the door, you getting blocked, and we're not together.
What do you mean I'm getting blocked and we're not together? Blocked from where?
My phone.
For what?
Because you closed the door.
What does that have to do with me getting...
If you close the door, we're not together no more.
Are you normal? What do you mean we're not together if I close door? So how do you expect me to take what I'm going to take inside? What are you saying?
Leave the door open if you want your relationship.
So, is there something going on ahead? So I will leave my own car door open because of relationship. I don't think I know. I don't want to pay the car notes. I beg. Hey, let's do something. I swear with anything on this side. If you disturb me, this is not always like something's always on your head. Any day when you always practice somebody, what's your problem? Come back and close door. I will close it. This one got to close. Even this one will be closed. What's your problem? Hey, let me tell you something. I'll tell you something today. Don't ever in your life. You're there recording stupid and you're not talking. Don't ever in your life base my relationship on nonsense like that. How like your hands gonna get? I'll stop this stupid video you're doing.
It seems like this guy's had enough of the games, especially when he pointed out the camera. He said, "Why are you recording?" And the next thing you know, he said, "Buzz before we test to see it, you'll really end this relationship if I shut this door." And he shut the door plenty of times.
Please watch the entirety of this because me and my fiance are 24 years old and we need help. And we're at a complete loss that I am here on TikTok. So he is a wildland firefighter. He has been this was going to be his 7th year. It is his entire heart, passion, career. He started it right out of high school. He's great at it. And the last 2 years, he's been able to not just, fight fire during the summer, but he's been able to be employed throughout the winter and thin throughout the winter, or, do some sort of fuel reduction throughout the winter. This winter, he worked with the same crew. They worked basically on the same unit all winter because it was that thick. And on April 2nd, one of the first trees to come down of the day was illegally cut by his coworker. They performed a bastard cut, so they did not face cut it. And the tree fell backwards the wrong way. She was on the non-unit side of the road, and my fiance is the safest person I know, and I knew the moment he said he got hit by a tree, there was no way he cut it down. And how in the hell he was standing somewhere where a tree could have hit him, I already knew right away it was impossible. How did that happen? So there was an extreme amount of negligence surrounding the actual tree cutting that fell on his head. These people cut trees down all winter long, and this girl cut many corners on that tree, and because of that, it landed on my fiance's head. She did not call out that she was cutting it, didn't call out that it was falling the wrong way. So it falls on my fiance's head, and his crew just asks him if he's okay. Nobody does an actual medical evaluation. Nobody looks at his pupils. They leave him out there all day. He continues to cut trees for a couple hours, but he's in severe pain and has a severe headache and continues to tell his coworkers that. He called his boss and said, I'm done. I can't do anything. A tree fell on my head and I'm not okay. And they kept him in the field. Then they end the day and they decide to stop and get ice cream on the way home while my fiance is passed out in the car holding a sea collar made out of his hoodie. He wakes up in the ice cream parlor parking lot, livid. They get back to work late because of that. And his boss isn't there. He didn't stay to see him fill out an incident report, even though my fiance texted him and said, I need to fill out an incident report when we get back to the station. I'm hurt. Literally nobody acts like a tree fell on his head. They'd let him drive home. He comes in the door and I take one look at his eyeballs. It's clear that he is not okay. I drive him to the ER. And the ER is already horribly confused on how he had a tree fall on his head at 9 a.m. and he is sitting in the ER at 6:30 p.m. They treat him as a trauma and they scan his head and his neck to make sure that it's not broken, and it's not, and he doesn't have a brain bleed, so they say it's just a concussion. Check in with your primary care, and then he refers us to a retired doctor, neurologist. We check in with primary care. They don't take workman's comp, so we lost his primary care. He has other health issues. Lost his primary care through this process, and now we have a retired neurologist to go see. On our own, we navigate finding different neurological care. We come to find out that that is a hole in our community. There are not very many people that are neurologists. So we're seeing a PA that's a concussion specialist, and she had been seeing us since the very beginning. And then he begins to develop seizures. We were told there were panic attacks by the fire department that I drove him to. And I looked at the firefighters and I said, I've worked in a hospital and I've seen panic attacks. I've never seen one this severe, but I'll believe you. No, they were seizures. So our PA orders a head MRI, and we're trying to find a neurologist through this time. We get the MRI. It's not good. She says, we'll need an EEG to confirm what's going on, and we need to find you a neurologist. So we decide to lawyer up because workman's comp, SAFE, is not being helpful, not helping us find any care. They're supposed to help us. So we find the best lawyer in the state to help us, and he's done what feels like nothing. He has not helped us find any care. So within the last week or two, I finally found a neurologist that would see him on workman's comp. That is after calling probably 8 different neurologists. So we find this neurologist that will see him, but he won't see him until September 17th. And at this point, I'm like, I'll wait. I don't care. He's getting better. He hasn't been having as many seizures. The biggest issue is being in the car and driving. Anyone that's had a head injury, like there's a lot of things, but like the big thing that's holding him back from living right now is driving. And he's 24. He's a firefighter. This is a big deal. Then we get a letter in the mail last Friday from SAFE, who I called that week to help. I wanted help finding care, and they said, I can't talk to you because you have representation. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I'm 24. But okay. So then they send us a letter in the mail with 3 doctor's appointments that are 3 hours away from us and say we will be fined if we don't attend these. So we call our lawyer this morning and say, being in the car is the problem. That's what's causing the seizures. We can't attend these doctor's appointments that are 3 hours away. And we found someone finally, but we can't attend 3 hour away doctor's appointments. And he literally told us, you have no other option than to get in the car and drive 3 hours. You mandatory appointments. They have to see you. And I don't understand how an insurance company can force someone to get in the car when they're having seizures and they can't even find a doctor to explain the seizures, explain anything. But hey, you have to get in the car and come see our doctors. 5 months later. We haven't been able to find doctors to care for him since April. And now they're demanding that next week we drive 3 hours away. To end this off with more details, just to show the full neglect of this entire situation, we made it to the ER twice, the night of and then the first seizure. I took him to the ER because I thought he was having a brain bleed. I completely lost him in the passenger seat. It was the scariest thing in my life. Both of the really bad seizures he's had, I've been driving the car. His brand new car, by the way. It's besides the point, but the doctors also missed through this entire thing. It wasn't until about a month and a half in that we discovered that his clavicle was broken from an impact from behind, and that he had a 2-degree AC joint shoulder separation. I beg to differ, it's a grade 3. His freaking clavicle is sticking out like this. And it's been months of discovering things. He was fine. He was fine. And every time we go back to the doctor, we find something new that was from this injury. I can't believe, how did the doctors miss his clavicle and his shoulder from the 2 ER visits he went in? He has a head injury. I've talked to so many people outside of the hospital that are like, if someone has a head injury, you can't trust them to be able to recall everything. A tree hit him, dude. And a clavicle, I have a friend that's a physical therapist, and she said one of their first questions they're supposed to ask if someone has a broken clavicle is what else hurts? Because that is a traumatic injury to be broken from behind.
You know what is so sad is that a lot of people go into the medical industry and generally they do not care about you. Always go back and do some double checking, do some looking, because a lot of these people get into the medical industry are getting in there for a check. And let's be honest, one thing's for sure, you need to always do your due diligence for your own life, because one thing they'll do, try to get you in